I will just, for the record, put that your comments came in at 12 minutes and 55 seconds. So I think it demonstrates the importance of this file and the generosity of wanting to hear what you have to say. But, you know, what happens on one end then impacts the other. And we're all here to work together. So it's something that impacts members in the House. And with that, we will appreciate your opening comments and go into 6-minute rounds, starting with Mr. Cooper, followed by Madame Romanado, suivi par Madame Gaudreau, et puis Mrs. Blaney. Mr. Cooper, 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Mr. O'Toole, when you appeared in the House to raise a question of privilege on May 30th, you stated that based upon the briefing you received from CSIS days earlier, that you were the target as a member of Parliament and as the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada of, quote, a sophisticated misinformation and voter suppression campaign orchestrated by the People's Republic of China before and during the 2021 general election, end of quote. I respect that you're not able to elaborate on the particulars of that briefing beyond the 4 categories that you have identified. Nonetheless, this information that you were a target of Beijing was documented and reported to officials within this government as early as July 20th, 2021, including the Prime Minister's department, the PCO, which received that memo. And yet, for nearly 2 years, you were kept in the dark, that you were a target of Beijing and continue to be a target of Beijing. Despite this, no one in this government has taken responsibility for that failure. So, first of all, would you agree that it was a failure, a breakdown in the machinery of government, that you were not briefed, that MP Kwan wasn't briefed, and that Michael Chong wasn't briefed? Would you agree that that was a breakdown of the machinery of government?
I would, Mr. Cooper. I think it would be an example of one of the largest breakdowns of accountability with respect to sensitive intelligence and members of Parliament that I'm aware of.
And do you believe that the Prime Minister needs to accept responsibility for that failure?
I would like to see some more responsibility. I tried in my remarks today to show how multiple governments, both Liberal and Conservatives, have struggled with the right balance with respect to China. I do believe that after 2017 and the 19th People's Congress and the more aggressive style of conduct by China, I think the Prime Minister should have responded to that. And I think he needs to be accountable for it. The fact that we're learning years after the fact about some of the risks they were briefed on only due to leaks and good reporting should trouble Canadians.
Thank you for that. I want to follow up on some of the questions that you posed at the end of your statement. And the first relates to the Rosenberg report, which I would note was released a mere 11 days after the explosive February 17th report of the Globe and Mail revealing an orchestrated campaign by Beijing to help the Liberals win the 2021 election and defeat certain Conservative candidates. Do you find the timing of the release of this report to be suspicious?
Very suspicious, yes.
And perhaps you could elaborate on why you think it was suspicious.
The fact that Mr. Rosenberg didn't speak to me, to my designate, Mr. Solomon, who had to be security screened to be part of the election protocol, or Mr. Chu, who was very, very publicly targeted during the election in a manner that we were complaining about during the election, makes his report completely incomplete to a point of professionally negligent, in my view. The language used in his report, that an opportunity, I may be misquoting that, but an opportunity to speak to representatives of the party, there was no opportunity, and I led the party at the time. So Did he speak to some low-level functionary and not the two or three people with intimate knowledge of the foreign interference? It troubles me because the panel of 5 of senior bureaucrats knew exactly who my designate was on that panel. I was too busy because I was running in an election. Our concerns were dismissed. We were not briefed at the beginning about the problems in 2019. So were the panel of 5 even aware of the intelligence related to 2019? We had a lot of trust in the system because of the respect we have for those 5. But I think the breakdown includes Mr. Trudeau and the panel of 5 themselves.
Yes, and you are right. At page 4 of the Rosenberg report, Mr. Rosenberg states, quote, there was an opportunity to meet with representatives of major political parties, and, quote, opportunity doesn't necessarily mean that meetings actually took place. And further to that, he stated at page 39 that, quote, the party representatives were pleased with the thoroughness of the briefings and the openness of the national security representatives. End of quote. That doesn't sound like your experience. How in the world could he come to that conclusion if he didn't talk to you, he didn't talk to your representative on the committee? It sounds like Mr. Rosenberg was being less than forthcoming and honest in his conclusions with respect to feedback that he received.
I don't know Mr. Rosenberg. I appreciate his work for years for Canada. But you're right, Mr. Cooper, as a lawyer, as you are, that's very curious language he used in that report. And you can interview all the university professors and security experts and all the people that observed the election, or you can talk to the participants who were targeted in the election, and he failed to do so.
Thank you.